Hey, what's up, everybody? Podcast time. Can we get it? Feel really awkward sitting between husband and wife, but
He didn't want to. No, you didn't want to scoot
Because
over.
he always sits in the middle.
I feel like it's just best for them to know that I feel awkward, so that it's not like, wow, that's so awkward that he's sitting in the middle. I just want them to know that it feels awkward to me too. So if it feels awkward to you, it feels awkward to me. But they're like my kids anyway, so it's okay.
There we go.
Hi, guys. I mean, not really my kids, but like
That would,
I don't want
that
your
would be
mom
even more
to
awkward.
get mad at. Anyways, I talked about junk about people from Georgia and Georgia fans a couple weeks ago, and I told her that I did it on the podcast and called her by name specifically, and she said, "I don't care. I don't be watching that podcast." I said, "That's exactly why I called you out, Reba."
Shout out to Rebecca.
I love my mom.
You know why I call her Reba?
Why you call her Reba?
You know why, right?
I actually don't think I do.
You don't know why?
Oh, there you go.
I don't think so.
I don't know if I do.
I just
like,
remember
fully.
one day you said it and it stuck.
So, I like giving people nicknames because I struggle remembering people's real names. Had a guy come up to me last night. He's been coming to the church for 2 years, and he said, "You don't even know my name, do you?" And I was like, "Oh, man, I do." And I did, but I just went blank. But if I'd had a nickname for him, I totally could have remembered it. Yeah. So I come up with nicknames for everybody. Her name's Rebecca, and so I don't like calling people by the same name everybody else calls them, so I went with, "Hey, Becky."
Oh, man.
Yeah. And your grandmother lit into me.
Probably swung.
She lit into me.
Yeah.
And Reba said, "Mama, shut up. He can call me whatever he wants to." And your grandmother said,
Her name's
"Absolutely not."
Becky.
And so I said, "Fine. You know what? I'm going to call her something even dumber. I'm going to call her Reba." Totally joking. And your grandmother wouldn't stop, so the rest of the night I just called her Reba.
Yep.
And it stuck like glue.
And so
Should've
that's how
named a
nicknames
Reba
go.
song there, Caleb.
Here's your one chance, Fancy. Don't let me down.
Probably not the song to name, but you know what? That's fine.
I'm a survivor.
I like that one.
That
She's
was
a single mom who works 2 jobs.
that was
and
from
loves a
the
kid.
show. Do you ever
From the
watch Reba show?
From the show Reba.
Yes.
Yeah.
Loved the show, man. My kids
Yeah.
loved it. My mom got our kids hooked on the show. They loved it. Haley is shaking her leg over here.
I always
She's
do
anxious.
that.
Nervous?
No, I always shake my leg. I can't sit
It
still.
it actually makes me nervous
Sorry.
watching you shake your leg.
Okay.
That's what I tell Maddie all the time when she
I'll
shakes
stop.
hers. I'm like, "Can you stop? Because
remember-
you're making me
I'll
nervous."
stop, but
the middle
I'll
of a
probably
service.
just involuntarily start doing it
Accidentally
again.
do it again?
Yeah.
No, just elbow you.
Okay, and I'll sit straight up.
In the middle of a service, Haley was shaking her leg, and Pastor reached across the row and said, "Hey, stop."
I can't help it.
It was one of Maddie's, whenever she was dealing with some anxiety stuff, it was one of her I don't want to say ticks. I don't know the right word.
was a
but
tell.
It was a tell. It was
Yeah,
a
it's a
tell.
tell.
Yeah.
You can
And
tell
so
she's
she would,
anxious.
and now she does it, and I'm like, "Stop!" And she's like, "Oh, I'm just doing it." And I'm like, No. You can't just be doing it whenever
be a
it
reason.
was a tell.
Yeah.
Now I feel like it's a tell. So when I see it, I'm like, "Okay, stop. Don't do that. Let's just take a break. Take a breath." So, how's watermelon green tea?
It's pretty good.
I've seen it in the fridge a couple times.
Those are fantastic.
Are they?
Fantastic.
I like it. I like it better than the other one.
I
Raspberry.
almost brought 3 different bottles of water up here and poured them in cups to see if y'all could tell the difference.
Haley
I
could.
literally
I
considered
probably
playing
could.
that game on the podcast.
Haley
today.
could.
If it's,
I could
if it's
not.
water I've drank before, I feel like I could.
It was going to be Fiji water,
Mhm.
Boss water, and purified Great Value water.
Haley could most certainly have told
the first two
difference.
were too bougie for me, but I like Great Value, so I could have maybe done that.
So we had a conference here, and some of the guest speakers asked for some
Specific waters.
And so we have some leftover Voss,
Oh, good.
leftover Fiji, and
Dang.
some leftover
Norwegian? Or
Icelandic.
Icelandic.
Some
Icelandic.
Iceland water.
Conference was awesome yesterday, though.
Yeah,
So
it's
cool.
phenomenal.
Agreed.
Sammy Rodriguez crushed it, and
So good.
yeah, so good. Prophetically declared some stuff over my life and this ministry and this house, and so
So good.
it's exciting. Go back and watch it. Go click right here to watch it. I do that stuff to Caleb sometimes. And Caleb's like, I didn't got nothing there, man. Why you telling me to
That's
quit?
not even how that works on YouTube.
He'll drop it right here in the comment section.
I will put the link to Sammy Rodriguez's in the comment section, but you
No,
just
say
say
the prophetic word over me. That's what we're talking about.
just that single.
Clip it.
Just clip it. Boom. Drop it right
Clip
here.
Oh, merch up there.
Merch
I saw
up
it. Yep,
there.
I saw it.
There it is.
Yep.
So Carson has been on staff here for officially 2 months.
2 months-ish.
2 months-ish. Haley has been on staff here officially over a year.
Mhm.
Year
January
and
was a year,
yeah,
so.
so almost a year and a half. No, a year and 3 months. 15 months.
Sounds
How,
like a
how
kid.
did like growing up? Did you ever say, "I'm going to be on staff at a church one day"?
Never.
Why are you shaking your leg?
I just do that.
Oh, boy.
Did you ever think I'm going to be on staff at a church?
No. I mean, I wasn't against it. I just didn't think that's where I would end up.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did end up here.
And your whole life, people prophetically spoke over you that this was going to be a part of your future, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. That ministry was where I was headed. Always.
Even as a child, your mother told me the story. I think you were maybe in a bassinet or something.
10 days old.
10 days
10 days
old in a carrier.
Mhm.
And yeah, so this has kind of always been the path for you and not always been the path for you. And now here we are.
Here we are.
And ironically, she came on staff before you.
Before
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
took me too long. Way too long.
Is that weird?
I think it's funny.
Me too.
Yeah. I wouldn't say weird, but definitely funny.
So Haley started on staff here, helping me in the office, and then transitioned into running our preschool. And now that's all she does. She doesn't help me. I mean, it helps me by her running her preschool, but doesn't. She's like, you're too much for me. I got to go somewhere. I got to go deal with babies. You're too much for me. And 15 months of it, and your thoughts of being on staff at church. I think this is healthy because people look at what we do and they say, man, all y'all do is, work on Sunday. You've heard this. Everybody's heard this, right? We work on Sunday. We play golf through the week. We eat fried chicken all week long.
Yeah.
And everybody that comes on staff says, oh, my goodness, I didn't know how hard church work was. I didn't know how hard it was being on staff.
Yeah.
So after 15 months of it, what's your thoughts of being on staff at a church?
I mean, I love it. I don't ever want to be anywhere else ever again. I was super nervous when I first came on just because I already had relationships with everyone on staff, but I knew how strong their relationships with each other were. So I was kind of nervous about, like, would it be awkward trying to figure out, like, all the unspoken rules of the office and stuff like that. But it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I mean, I absolutely love it. Like I said, I thought I was already here a lot just as a volunteer, and then now I feel like I really do live here sometimes, and it's insane. I didn't know how much work went into it before coming on staff.
Did she tell you any of the unwritten rules before you got here?
Yes.
What was one?
The biggest ones were like inside jokes, like office inside jokes.
Office inside
Oh, yeah.
jokes are tricky.
So tricky.
So I
tried
went to
filling
dinner
in.
last night with a bunch of pastors, and all of them are friends.
Except
I am an acquaintance of their friend group,
Right.
and they had inside jokes that I giggled to because everybody else was laughing, but
We
had
really
no
know.
clue what
Yeah.
I was giggling to.
Yeah.
So I totally get how that would
Yes.
be a thing.
Like getting Samantha.
Yeah.
I think that's the one we all like really, really know
Mhm.
really well. But like getting Samantha, I would just kind of sit there and be like, "Oh, haha!" Like even now, I still don't fully understand what that means.
There is
Like I know,
You
I
had
know,
to
I know
be
what it
there.
means,
Be
but it's
there.
definitely like a you had to be there thing
Yeah.
to really know what it is. And everybody, like I think we did it in staff meeting this past week. Somebody said, "I'm gonna Samantha you," and I went, "Oh, ha ha ha." What does that mean? I still don't really know what that means. So like, but stuff like that. Haley definitely warned me about stuff like that. Yeah, just like some culture stuff.
Yeah.
She was like, "Hey, don't say this," or like, "Be careful who you're around in certain settings." Like, there's a certain level of confidentiality that we have around
Mhm.
the office, stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I'm very picky on certain things inside of the office. There's a level of excellence that we operate inside of. There's a level of fun that we're able to have, but also respect the office life and the culture of this is a working environment. And so you have to balance some of that. I think, lunchtime is always a big thing for the staff culture where, we're eating lunch together, whatever it is. Maybe yesterday I think y'all had, I wasn't here, but y'all had leftover spaghetti, and then today, just as a little appreciation for everybody's hard work, we bought lunch and had some Japanese Miyabi Jr., and everybody just sits around and eats and has a good time, and it's laughter and it's fun, and it's very it's very all over the place and kind of chaotic, but it feels just like a big family dinner.
It feels like family dinner.
Yeah.
Especially when Sam says he wants to jump on the guy who was Sammy Rodriguez's friend, like while he's on stage.
Yeah, because he was so big and buff.
He's like,
Yeah.
I wonder what was gonna happen. I was just gonna jump on him, and everybody laughs. But it's literally like a normal conversation at the lunch table.
It did. It felt normal.
Yeah.
So prior to you coming on staff here, Haley was already on staff, and you were a director at Chick-fil-A, and you had all of the potential to one day be a owner-operator and step away from that life to come ministry life. But during that season, you were working extra hard at Chick-fil-A and getting up and going into the office or into to work at what time?
At Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
It depended. It could be as early as 5 a.m. or as late as 2 p.m.
And working how many hours a week?
Specifically at Chick-fil-A, anywhere between 40 and 50.
Yeah. And then Haley is getting up at what time? What time are you leaving the house?
It's like 7:30. I would leave the house.
7:30. Getting home 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and then some nights you're working late because sometimes you'd be hanging out with my family while he's working late and waiting on him to get off before you went home and things of that nature. And so it was wildly inconsistent schedules.
Correct.
Outside. Now, let's reflect. Is that normal for families? I don't know. I'm asking, like, serious life. Is that normal for, like, Tom and Reba, do they have completely unique schedules from each other?
No.
Or they're pretty much like 9 to 5 or
Correct.
whatever, and come home and they have evenings together.
Yeah.
Is that I don't know. Is that normal?
It was normal for us for a little while. It was what we had to do. Because, like, my role at Chick-fil-A was whenever they needed me was, like, and I made the schedule. So, like, if there were holes that needed to be filled and, there's other people that are working 40, 45 hours a week that can't work more than that because, they got life to do and stuff like that. And so it was up to me to fill those holes. And a lot of times I was the one that filled those holes. Yeah. And so, 40-hour work week turned into 50, 55 really quickly. And so it was what my job called for. If I needed to work late, like, I had to work late. Like, that's what I had to do. And for a while, it was a really rough normal for us.
And you were completely okay with him working late?
So okay.
No. I hated it. It would be like 10:45 at the earliest for me when he would come home. And I like to be in bed by 9, but, like, my anxiety won't let me sleep until I know he's home. So I would wait up, and it was miserable.
If we had a rough close, it was midnight 30.
Oof.
Yeah. I'd get home and then shower, and
Then your work schedule could have you opening the next morning.
The next day I'm opening. That was just the nature of it for a long time.
So I will say to you, Haley was at Pop Shelf whenever we hired her on here. I will say to both of you, but you in your few months here, it is so incredibly healthy. I've said this on the podcast a few times to a few different people about this situation. It's so incredibly healthy to remember life outside of the church staff.
Me specifically.
No, I'm just saying. I've said it to Olivia. She's doing staff to different people that have come on, Angie, and it's very healthy for you to remember what it was like before, because what happens in church staff culture a lot is we complain about stuff that we used to do as volunteers that now because we're on staff, it almost feels like an extra tax on us for being staff.
Mm-hmm.
But we used to be thrilled and glad to do it as volunteers. Hey, will you come out on a Tuesday night and set up the sanctuary for the new Kids Point theme? Sure, absolutely, I'd love to. But then whenever you're on staff, hey, will you stay and work late on Tuesday night to set up for the new Kids Point theme? What? I've been here all day long. I can't believe you'd ask me to stay and work late. So that mindset against ministry or volunteering or understanding of other people's schedules or whatever is something that is for all of us that we gotta keep remembering life prior to this. I don't think everybody's called to be on church staff. I think it's incredibly important to have the amazing volunteers that we do and everybody that does what they do to be able to have. You all right?
Like shaking again?
I'm sorry.
You all right?
Yeah, I just can't sit still.
Okay, just making sure. I think it's incredibly important to have the amazing volunteers that we do, and not everybody's called to be on church staff, but I do love it moments like Carson and Haley where we're able to have a husband and wife combo on staff. And the really unique thing for y'all is y'all both were serving in Kids Point together.
Mm-hmm.
Your jobs have nothing to do with each other,
mm-hmm.
but you still serve in, again, not so much together, but you still serve in Kids Point together.
Yeah.
So how is life, let's start with working together, the jobs that have nothing to do with each other. How is life culture working together?
You go first, you want me to go first?
Let's start here. Because we had the conversation whenever Carson first, we started walking down this of, he's a big shadow.
Yeah.
He's a big shadow that you got to walk in, and almost a fear of being overwhelmed by the shadow that was Carson.
Yeah.
And overwhelmed in relationships here because of who Carson is. And so now, some 3 months later, what's your thoughts?
I really do think it helps that the first half of the day I'm in preschool.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole first half of the day, I don't even see him. We ride together. We walk in, and he's like, okay, love you. And he comes up here to his office, and I go down to mine, and I don't see him until lunch. And then really, I don't ever really see him after lunch
that was what I was
like,
gonna say.
we don't ever really see each other.
Yeah.
Unless something like a conference like yesterday, then we see each other a lot. But I don't ever really see him during the day. He's doing his thing. I'm doing mine. So.
Do you feel like that shadow was quite as daunting as you thought it was going to be?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And I try my best to tell you that, but
yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad that's your answer. How about you? 3 months in, thoughts of working with your wife?
Kind of the same thing. Like we do two completely different things that are of equal importance, and like they're so incredible in their own right. And like Haley has her things that she does, and I have my things that I do. And I'm basically running a marathon around the church all day long because of where my office is, and then where I have to be in the dome. But like we don't see each other during the day, so like I think it's kind of a built-in. I don't know if boundary is the right word, but it's a built-in boundary to where like she has her stuff and I have my own stuff. That way our shadows never overlap. Mm-hmm. And I think that's super, super healthy for us because the last thing that I want to do is inadvertently outshine her. Mm-hmm. And because I know who I am, I'm aware of my personality and how big of a personality I have. The last thing I'd ever want to do is outshine her. Mm-hmm. And I think with her and her role and me and mine and how different they are, there's no real possibility for that.
How about things like we ride to work together and Carson has to work a little late?
That happened like 2 weeks ago. He forgot to tell me he had a meeting after youth.
Okay.
And so we rode together, and it's like 8:45, and he finally like walked into the auditorium, and I was like, "Oh, are y'all done?" He was like, "Yeah, I just have a quick 20-minute meeting." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine." An hour later, and I was like, "Hey,
we were having really good conversation.
is this 20-minute meeting almost done?" I was just sitting.
And you are not that person at all.
No.
I feel like Haley would walk home before she would send that text. So for her to actually get to the place where she sent the text, you knew, like,
I knew it was time.
It's time to end this.
Like
meeting.
I was in the middle of the meeting, and like somebody was like sharing their heart about something like really, really cool, like within the youth group, and I was like, man, this is awesome. All of a sudden my phone goes off, and I go, hey guys, we gotta wrap this up.
It's over.
I kind of felt bad after I sent it, but I was like, you said 20 minutes, and I had texted him like one other time before saying like, hey, are you almost done? And he hadn't responded, so I was like, what is happening out there? Like, are you alive? Like, you said 20 minutes, and so I think I ended up texting him again, and I was like, I'm just gonna go wait in the car.
Because you do watch those like 60-minute murders things, right? So you thought
true crime podcast.
True crime podcast.
Yeah.
That is. So you're like, oh no, he's dead. He's. So I'll just go sit in the car
I'll
until the
just go
police
wait in
get
the
here.
car.
Yep, just go sit in the car.
That way, at least if they come after me, I'm in the car and I can drive away.
Yep, exactly.
Nah, he had the keys.
I didn't have the keys because I had to lock up the dome.
Oh no! All right. So how about serving prior to being on staff here and still where you are now, serving inside of a ministry, kids ministry together? Thoughts on how incredibly difficult that must have been?
I mean, I will say I think it is also very similar to our jobs, because even though we both serve in Kids Point and are leaders in Kids Point, he really only focuses on the elementary room.
Yeah.
That's really the only room and then I'm like the complete opposite. I serve literally everywhere. I mean, if I have to step into elementary, I will, but for the most part, I'm nursery, toddler, preschool, sensory room, any other room than elementary. Yeah. So even though we serve together, it's almost like we don't.
And I would honestly say, like we both have leadership roles in Kids Point, but like I almost feel like on a Sunday morning, my role is, okay, I take care of the elementary room. Like that's my area. That's where I serve. Like I take care of that area, make sure everything is set up, and then like I just kind of have this support role. Like, Christy, what do you need? Yeah. Haley, what do you need? You know, and like that's kind of the dynamic that we have, is like this. How can I help you? Kind of thing.
Let's talk about the value of kids ministry.
Let's talk about it.
You, okay, so obviously 10 days old, you were kind of prophetically spoke over, 10 days old. Grandparents very active in church. Mom who claims she did everything wrong and she has no clue why you are the amazing man of God that you are. And so your experience with kids ministry, and same concept here, you know, knowing, growing, walking through it. Let's talk about your early on experiences inside of yourself in kids ministry. What was kids ministry like growing up?
Kids ministry for me was very much like what Isabella Redwine does. I was always the kid servant. I was always the Sunday school teacher's pet. Whatever the Sunday school teacher needed me to do, I wasn't really sitting there in Sunday school or in kids ministry, like actively sitting and listening. I was always serving. I was always helping out. Like, what do you need me to do? At the time, it was Miss Tammy. Miss Tammy, what do you need me to do? Oh, can you lead us in worship this morning? Yes, absolutely, Miss Tammy. I'll lead us in worship this morning. So that was kind of like my experience with kids ministry. Was never sitting down in kids ministry.
What about you?
I was there every Sunday in kids ministry, but I would pay attention, but then I would just talk to my friend beside me the whole time, or I acted like, oh, yep, I'm good, I got this, I'm fine, you know, just kind of not really paying attention and just going with the flow.
Disengaged.
Yeah.
So come through that into high school, come out of high school into college and careers, and now you're back in youth ministry. What is the hurdle right now? Not inside of our youth ministry. What is the hurdle inside of the youth? Let's talk specifically kids ministry age group. From elementary down to preschool or whatever. What is the hurdle that we face as a church in trying to? Lost connection, bud.
You just turn it off. The Mac just decided it was going to update itself in the middle of the podcast.
Nice.
So.
Technology, man. What is the hurdle that the church faces in kids ministry today, or to reach kids today, or to be able to minister effectively to kids today?
I think one of the toughest things, one of the things that I noticed the most, especially when it comes to elementary age kids, is that I don't want to call it something smaller or bigger than what it may actually be, but just from my observation, there's kind of an over-anxiousness when it comes to it. Like, when I was in kids ministry, the new kid would be, like, fully involved and immersed, like, almost immediately. And, like they come in, they're, like, a little nervous, kind of looking at their surroundings because it's a new place. But by the end of service, it was like, Mom, Dad, I can't wait to come back. Now I feel like we kind of... it takes them a little bit longer. Like, I feel like there's almost a little bit of an anxiousness,
Very interesting.
Yeah, like that, and it's we do everything we can, especially in this church. Like, we do everything we can to make sure every kid is involved and they're loved on, and we connect them with kids their age. Like, we do an incredible job with that. But I feel like there's like a kind of a built-in anxiousness, like almost an overcautiousness about a new place. That's something we kind of have to work through and, like, work a little bit extra harder to build relationships and get over that hurdle.
I think kids are just awkward.
Kids are awkward.
Like,
Kids are awkward.
me going to a new place at 24 years old, I would be awkward and, like, not want to talk to people and, like, please don't look at me, don't come up to me, don't, like, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. I think, so I think that's also part of it. Kids are just weird and don't know how to interact with people.
Yeah, I think about my girls, and they definitely have some of that social awkwardness. Don't want to go places, don't want to do new things because of what that means. I mean, the other day, me and Cammie were going to Food Line at 8:30 at night, and she's like, Daddy, it's nighttime. Crackheads are out of Food Line at 8:30. I'm like, baby, it's 8:30. I mean, I could see if you were like 2 o'clock in the morning on the boulevard, crackheads is out, but like,
But it's,
like
Food Line.
it's 8:30 at night in Food Line.
Damn.
So yeah, I totally get that. What about you? Like thoughts of the difficulty? Why is there a difficulty in reaching kids these days, or ministering to kids these days?
If I could say something, I totally think it is the culture of short attention spans. Kids watch reels on their phones, or they see vegetables dancing, and everything that they watch is quick. It's cut. It sounds good, and then you're asking them to stare at. And I'm saying this for the elementary room age. Obviously, ministering to toddlers is harder or easier in some cases, but they're so reliant on quick, bright, flashy that it's really hard just to sit and listen to their kid's pastor or the person talking to them talk for
sure.
however long, if it's anything longer than 5 to 10 minutes,
There are some days where there is more engagement with the supplemental material that we use, with it's like the so-and-so show. Like, there's definitely, you can tell the kids are more attentive and receptive to that on some days. And then there's some days where they eat up the in-person teaching. Like, they're very involved, very engaged. But then there's definitely days where they are so out of it when whoever's got the microphone is on stage teaching and leading, and you turn on, okay, guys, we're going to watch our intro to worship video, and all of them go. And they're so engaged.
Super interesting.
I mean, I also think it's just part of, like, culture these days. Like, if they haven't, I mean, they're younger, so they might have grown up in church, but even if they haven't and they're coming for the first time, I think it's just that it's not super common to be super strong in your faith, especially at such a young age. So I think, like, I wouldn't say peer pressure, but, like, peer pressure of trying to fit in with whoever you go to school with or whoever you're around every day, like trying to not be the oddball, the odd man out.
For sure.
Technology has definitely been a blessing and a curse.
No doubt about it.
Because when you get to, like, let me say, I don't know about you, my first phone I got in middle school because I had started to ride the bus. And my mom wanted to make sure I was okay after I got off the bus. It was about that big. It was a track phone that I couldn't text on. I could only make phone calls.
Come on.
And I had minutes.
Come on.
And that's when I learned what minutes were.
Yeah.
And so that was my first phone.
You get nights and weekends free?
Oh, no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like my friends that would have phones, they would text me, and I go, no, don't text me. That's like 10 cents. Don't text me. Please don't text me. But, like, that was my first phone. But nowadays, like, we have to tell kids in Kids Point, elementary age kids, put your phone away.
Oh, my.
And, like, they're sitting there playing games on their phone in the middle of church.
Yeah, it's strange. You all right, bud?
Yeah,
Caleb's,
my mic's muted. I'm not that bad at running this thing, but I swallowed some water down the windpipe.
Is it Voss?
No, it's purified drinking, great value.
Amen.
The best bottle cap in the world to chew on.
I think that my kids got cell phones in 6th grade.
All 3 kids got cell phones at different ages.
No, they did not.
I got my first one in 7th.
No, you didn't.
Yes,
Anyways,
I did. Carson got hers in 6th, and Cammie got hers in 5th.
That is not true. So not true. My first cell phone was the size of this TV. It was in a bag.
Ooh.
It was no like charging it. Like, you plugged it into your cigarette lighter in your car, and you carried around this big briefcase that.
You had a car phone?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that was my first cell phone. And then my second cell phone after that was the big Zach Morris phone.
Oh, with the antenna.
Yeah, antenna up, and at some point, probably, I was in college. I was probably in college at the time where you started getting nights and weekends free, and so you could, during the day you'd be like, hey, I'm gonna call you back tonight. Oh wait, I hit a minute and 3 seconds. We might as well talk for the next 50 seconds because I got to hang up before 2 minutes. Yep. And then you'd be like, all right, hey, I'll call you back tonight at 7. After 7 was free, or weekends were free. And so, long years ago. Now kids are playing games on their phones.
Bring them to church.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. How many kids text their parents from their phones in church?
I almost named a name. Not as often as you think, but it happens.
I wonder if we were just thinking of the same person.
We definitely were.
Sure.
From The Watch?
Did that? Ooh,
sure.
No, not that. Different person.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
The Watch. That sounds like an exclusive club.
Yeah.
Yowza.
Yeah.
All right, favorite thing about kids ministry. This is my favorite thing. Doesn't have to be what you do. It doesn't have to be a class. Doesn't have to be. This is what I love about kids ministry. This is why I serve there.
There's so many
I
things.
feel like it's gonna sound like such a easy way out, but like the kids, like I absolutely love them, and I love when you're teaching them, even in the toddler room, like 2 and 3-year-olds, you can see it when they're really catching on to something, and even there's 2 and 3-year-olds who can tell you our memory verse each month, and it's every time they do that, it's I just want to bawl my eyes out. Yeah. I'm it's amazing.
You can tell you love the kids, and I love that my Cammie loves Haley, loves her.
Mm-hmm.
Cammie's like, oh, I'm not gonna go on a missions trip, and I was like, well, Haley might go, and she's like, Dad, don't tease me. I'm not gonna go. I don't care if Haley's going. So normally, if we can get Haley to go, Cammie will go. Mm-hmm. But I love that you love kids, because now my Cammie is absolutely committed to kids ministry and her future because of you and Christy. So thank you.
They were on the phone last night for 30 minutes, Pastor.
Doing what?
No, Cammy and I were on the phone for an hour.
They were talking. Cammy was making a grilled cheese and telling Haley how she was making her grilled cheese.
She sent me a picture of the
I'm
cheese
serious.
she was using.
I'm serious.
I
Straight
love
up.
it. I love it. I love it. What's your favorite thing in kids ministry?
There's a lot. A few tossed around in my head. Can I pick two?
Sure.
Okay. The first one is the pre-service part, where mine is elementary specific. I never serve anywhere else in kids.
Sure.
We have this time in pre-service where all the kids are coming in, they're getting checked in, they're kind of hanging out, playing games and whatnot, and like that's the moment where like everybody from LD that comes in and serves, that's the time where I tell them this is where we build the relationships with the kids, so that we can lead them in worship, so that we can teach the lesson to them, because like these are the moments where we get to know them as kids, and not as students we're teaching. Like we get to know them as kids, and just it's that 30 to 40 minutes we get where I'm just walking around the room. Good morning, give them fist bumps. Like that's definitely one of my favorite parts. I gotta say my absolute favorite part is being able to lead them in worship every week, and like there'll be moments where there'll be songs where like it's like the 4th week of the month, and we do the same songs every month or once a week every week for the whole month, and they'll be like we'll get to the end of the month and the kids like know the words. And the song will get to maybe like a choir part, but I can still hear the kids singing. Like that right there, that's one of my favorite moments.
It's awesome. Maddie took the video and sent it to me, and I absolutely loved the kids did. I witnessed your faithfulness. And there's a part, and it makes me cry every time I hear it, but there's a part in the song where it's like, I'll see it again and again. And you and Haley were on the floor leading the kids. The kids were on the stage, and y'all were on the floor, kind of same row, like same.
We're at the end of the aisles.
At the end of the aisles, and Maddie and I sit on the front row, so we're able to see both of y'all. So she's like recording, and it's Haley, and then the next aisle over, Carson, and you just see y'all so passionately just telling them to, just declare that over their life again and again. And so now even when me and Maddie hear it in the car, we're just like, again and again. And I love it. Oh, I love it. Parents are watching this. They have kids.
Hey.
Okay, parents who have kids, you're about to give them a piece of advice from kids ministry. Okay, you're going to say, hey, here goes how you can help us better equip your kids in kids ministry, or how you can better prepare your kids for kids ministry. Or Christy's going to watch this, and JD3's coming up, and she wants some advice on what she can do to better prepare JD3. Some advice you would give to parents watching this in relationship to kids ministry. Who wants to go first?
You nodding me?
Yeah.
Okay. I would definitely say, I don't know a better way to phrase it, like talk church with them.
Yeah.
Like go a little bit deeper than how was Kids Point today, because every single time they're going to tell you it was good or it was bad.
Yep.
Like dig a little bit deeper with them.
What'd y'all talk about?
Because exactly, like what did you talk about? What did you like? What did you learn? Yeah. Like dig a little bit deeper, because like I can think of a story of like there's this one kid who we weren't sure if he was getting it, we weren't sure if he was paying attention, like and he goes to the doctor's office one day, and his grandma takes him to the doctor's office, and then he begins to tell the doctor who is giving him his checkup what he learned in Kids Point that week.
Love it.
But his grandma had no idea. And we had no idea. But like I think the thing that goes the extra mile is when you talk church with them, when you ask them more than just, oh, how was Kids Point?
Yeah. I love it.
I should have went first, because that's what I was going to say, like be involved in what, and even if it takes you asking us like, hey, what did you teach them about today, or what are you going to talk to them about next week? That way we can tell you, and you can have questions prepared to ask them, because there are some kids, if you say, hey, what'd you learn Kids Point? I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know, or I don't remember. That's, I think, answers they get a lot of. So just be involved.
Yeah, and I would say to partner along with those, don't allow a kid's bad day or bad moment to stop them from being a part of something that is incredible. If a kid comes, Caleb hated youth group for the first
6 months.
6 months. Hated it. He went from being the big dog, 5th grader, to the small dog, 6th grader, and hated it. But I knew that it was good for him, so I continued to tell him the value that. We had fights about, I don't want to go. Too bad. You're going.
Legit, Kyle Russell can attest it. I hid from him for 3 months.
Yep.
All the way up until November of the school year.
Yep.
3 months I hid from him, trying not to go to youth groups.
So, but I knew it was good for him, so we kept pushing. And don't allow. I had a bad day in Kids Point to make you make a bad decision for your kid's future. Yeah. They need to be there. You need them to be there, and God has given us an incredible team around here to invest in your kids and to train your kids, teach your kids, support your kids. So get them there and give them an opportunity. Who knows what God's going to do inside of them? You never know the church service you miss, whenever that is. You never know if that's going to be the church service that changes your kid's life forever. Yeah. So get them to church, love on them, encourage them, and ask them questions about what's happening back there. Make sure that they're engaged. Ask the leadership questions about what happened, and make it important for them and for you. So yeah, that's our podcast for the day. Anything else you'd like to sing?
No, I'm good.
Good.
I want Haley to sing.
No.
Again? We're keeping it part.
Can you put the singing from the beginning here at the end as well? Can you cut it and drop it right here?
Yeah, you'll do the outro,
Right
and then we'll go right to the beginning.
Singing coming. Hang on just a second. If you would like to subscribe, click here.
Yeah.
Next video, click here.
Yeah.
Whatever's coming next, hit here.
Boom.
And peace out. Let's go.
See ya.
Sing it, Haley.